Hello, hockey fans of all ages, shapes, and sizes. This is Willow Beach on the Okanagan Lake behind me here in West Kelowna. So today I want to talk about asset management with the draft coming up and the various free agents available. And I think this is going to be the year of the middle six guys. Marner being the exception as the blockbuster. But here, I wanted to show you this. Come down and rent a boat or buy a boat from me this year at West Kelowna Marine. Here's the X15, and she's a beaut. It's really low hours. And so the topic of the day is asset management. And I'm going to try to play Frogger here and cross the road. 1 second. So I can walk along the water. So this is we'll do the drive and boat valet, drop all the customers off in the yacht club just 100 meters away here, which is pretty cool. So here's the beach behind me. Kind of see it. To rent a sup board for half an hour, couple hours, whatever. Pretty reasonable rates. Anyway, so for asset management, I wanted to talk about Mitch Marner and some of the other guys. So he's the big reward, I think, this year. And I've heard rumblings of a 2 to 3 year bridge deal. And I was like, man, maybe the Sharks could pull this off. I know I've been advocating for JT to come home to San Jose. They almost got him. And I was like, I don't care, pay him $11 million a year for, like, I think Greer could pay a couple of these guys. And this is what I wanted to talk about with asset management specifically, is when you don't have the asset in your hand, it's worth a lot more on the open market. So a guy like Sam Bennett has said, hey, 8 more years, and he'll probably take, I'm guessing, a team-friendly deal between $7.5 to $8.5 million over 8 years, which will be a significant payday. But for a 2C, like a John Tavares, if Bennett goes to the Leafs or somewhere else, he's going to command around $10 million is the word on the street, right? So the same thing with that Mastercraft X-Star, right? It's really low hours. It's like 150, 60 hours, something like that. Super low. It's kind of like the older version of the X-Star, I believe. So from Ontario, I was selling Nautique boats. If you know, you know. They're the top free agent class, I'll call it. And they're going for around $400,000 to $600,000, $800,000 for a wake boat. They're like the cream of the crop in the wake industry. Mastercraft was selling at the boat show, I think, a couple $100,000 for some of their ski boats, or maybe 125, 150 for their brand new ski boat for slalom skiing. And then I think a bunch of their boats were for the X-Star and stuff, they're in the couple $100,000 range, right? So if you look at what was I going to say, for like these 23-foot Sea Rays were going for $200,000 loaded, right? And like brand new Sea Rays are like $750,000 to $1 million. They got all the thrusters and the 32-foot, the 320, and I think it's the 380. Anyways, it's been a bit. They got a 40-footer and beyond. A lot of these Sea Ray and that are making a lot of smaller boats now. If you go in the Muskokas and the Kawarthas, there's all these boathouse restrictions and dock restrictions. So they don't like the bigger boats in the channels too often. They want them to be out on the big water. So yeah, for like free agent status, I just mentioned how all these boats, like a 23-foot Sea Ray being $200,000 fully loaded now, that's an asset. If you don't have one, it's worth a lot more on the open market. Now, if you already have it, your price has gone up. Like let's say you have a 10-15-year-old Sea Ray, it might be worth, you know, $40,000-$50,000 5 years ago, but now it's worth, you know, $60,000-$70,000, right? $80,000, because you hold this asset and there's been money printing and inflation. And if somebody else wants that asset, it's just it's kind of like I guess you'd say a seller's market, because if you hold the asset, you hold the rules. You have it in your hand, and someone else wants it, they're going to have to pay way more for it. So in the term of hockey, the Leafs have Marner now, and you know, they hold his rights until July 1st. His value's higher before then, and it dips slightly after then because he's on the open market. But his value with the Leafs, it probably goes up after July 1st in inverse to the market, right? So when other teams have access to buy that asset in the off season, and so he, you know, some people are talking maybe 14-15 mil or whatever for a bridge deal. You know, like Mike Greer could pull off, Big Money Mike, shout out for my Sharks. He could just be like, hey, Marner, we'll give you 14 mil times 3 years, or we'll give you 15 mil times 2 years. And then you can wait for the cap to bump up. And it does not cap hamstring the Sharks in any way. They become immediately more competitive. Marner, there was a picture with Marner, I think, and Matthews and Jumbo and Patty with Selly and Smitty, I think, something like that surfaced throughout the season, right? So those guys were hanging out on the road trip. And, you know, I've heard Anaheim, which makes sense. Anaheim's kind of, you know, they've traded out Zegras. They've made some more acquisitions. I think they're taking a run at the playoffs. They're a little bit ahead of San Jose Sharks rebuild. Like I said, San Jose, if they hang on to everything that they've got and just keep, you know, drafting well, they're going to be lethal in 3 to 4 years. Now, signing a guy like Marner or John Tavares, like pay John Tavares to the Leafs, he's worth probably $3.5-4 million, maybe $4.5 million, the Matt Duchene deal. But if you look at the open market, a team like San Jose could be like, hey, Tavares, 10 mil times 2, we'll give you 20 million to come down here, because they want to grab him, that asset, they want to grab him, and then when he re-signs with them, it'll be like a lot less. So when you hold the asset, you hold the asset. And to the people who don't hold the asset, you have to bid higher to draw this asset into your possession, right? So this is how the market works for boats. And here's the yacht club here. It's a 4-lane launch. It's pretty sweet. So if you're down in West K, come say hello. I don't have many fans of the podcast, but I'm creating what's called evergreen content, where the idea behind it is it's not date specific. I do talk about speculation, and obviously with the you know, there's rumors and speculation that I'll go into a little bit now, but the idea with evergreen content is that when you listen to the philosophy behind my hockey IQ mind or whatever, you can say, oh yeah, like the muckers and grinders, or like second line center, what makes, you know, what makes a good forward, and, you know, things like that, and which forwards and line combinations work together because of certain play abilities and styles, and those kind of things, right? How do you play in the playoffs, etc. So I would say that Florida is making quite a scene, and I don't care about that, but I would say to them, be careful what you wish for. You know, you're taunting McDavid and all these guys. You know, you can take the humble approach and be like, hey, we were great, good team and all that, but they're making the league salty. And I think that's a danger for Florida, because every time a team plays you, they're going to give it an extra 10, 15, 25%, and they're going to try to bury you into the boards or take your head off with a hit in open ice if you're not careful. So if you're hobbling along to the deadline or to the end of the season, if you're hobbling along with no players, like, I do believe that the teams that are the most strong heading into the playoffs, etc., are going to usually win out. So you want to have all your guys lined up, and the whole deadline post deadline salary cap thing definitely has to be addressed by the league. You can't have 30 million over cap and expect to be compliant. So I hope they address that somehow with some kind of playoff cap structure or whatever, just so guys aren't injured and then just come back. But anyway, for the rumors and speculation, I've heard Brock Besser linked to Minnesota. That kind of makes sense. Like Kaprizov, they got to get him done. And Vancouver's got a lot of shuffling of the Titanic to do, with all the Pedersons, and Quinn Hughes apparently wants to link up with his brothers. I'd say it's more likely that he goes. So they'll probably be looking for a defenseman in this off season. I would say that if I'm the Islanders, you're going to get a potential future Hall of Famer in Matthew Schaefer down the road, a young, talented defenseman that's going to take a couple years to make the NHL. Probably with his injuries last year, he's going to have to play at least one season and maybe go to NCAA. Who knows? Defensemen always take longer. As I pointed out, their prime is usually 26 to 30, whereas a player's prime is kind of 22, 23 to like 27 is kind of like the forward prime. So that's why I'm looking at my Sharks saying, wow, they're dangerous in 3 to 4 years. Wow, it's going to be insane, especially when they grab Misa this draft. It's going to be awesome. He can play left wing if they acquire Granny back, or Matt Duchene. He'd have to be traded by the team. He signed a really team-friendly deal. I was really hoping he'd end up in San Jose. But grab a guy like Granny or John Tavares. I'd love to see JT. Like I said, even if they pay him 8, 9, 10 million for 2 years, just say, hey, come on down here, see how you like it. And then maybe get him at 5, 6 mil for future years. Obviously, guys like Toffoli and stuff who are early believers, like I said in a past thing, those guys need to be taken care of as far as like, alumni and stuff. Even though he won a cup in LA, he's a Shark now, and he loves, having fun with Selly and Smitty, and he's a culture guy, a glue guy, as Sam Bennett mentioned, for the culture, right? So who else is out there? Like, you don't have a ton of centermen available, so I do see a ton of centermen in this draft, and I think Misa is far and away the best centerman. I still think Porter Martone is the far and away the best winger in the draft, and he should go number 3 to the Hawks. I've been hearing Anton Frundell to the Sharks. There's no freaking way that's happening. If it does, they have to be trading down for a defensive asset of some kind, or some kind of asset, which just doesn't make sense. They're just going to grab Misa. He works well with Chernyshov, and he has the versatility of being a left winger. Can you imagine that second line with like him and Smitty on the right side with like a Tavares or a Granny or Wenberg, etc. this year? It's going to be insane. Or, if Misa wants to go and do NCAA for a year, like Smitty and Selly did, I guess get some more experience, get some more size and bulk to him. I'm fine with that. We still have a 3-4 year timeline. So so for asset management, you gotta pay more to draw guys in to the fold. And whether these short-term deals, I think Mike Greer would probably take a swing on a guy like Marner if he said, hey, I want 2 years at 15 mil or something, and then Marner waits for the cap to grow a couple more times, signs his sweetheart deal of 8 years till the end of his career. Things like that are kind of interesting to me, that I've posted in the past, and I didn't think they had a chance at getting Marner, because I thought his mind was going towards a 7-year deal or an 8-year deal in Toronto. Now Toronto, as I mentioned, the asset is worth more, and it fluctuates, right? They could sign away 2 to a specific team for a draft pick, maybe like a first rounder or something, or a second rounder, just for the rights to sign Marner to 8 years. That would recoup some assets for Marner, and or recoup an asset for Marner. And then the other option is a sign and trade, right? Like I've mentioned Martin Necas, and somebody said, well, he's a UFA, you don't have to. But if they work out a deal prior to July 1st with Marner and say, hey, we're going to honor your 10 teams that you'll go to, and we're going to sign you to 8 years, so you get your 8th year, and then we'll ship you off to LA or Vegas or something like that. I definitely think Vegas is a front runner, like always. It's just bizarre how they're always over capped. They're always a front runner for everybody, as is Carolina. And I don't see Marner going to Carolina, because he would have done that deal if he really wanted to be there. He would have gone in the Rantanen supposed trade, right? So anyway, should be an interesting off season. As I said before, I'll just highlight it now. From an asset management standpoint, the Sharks need more shots. They need probably 1,200 more shots, and I said that's like 6 decent forwards who are shooters, and some of the guys like Nate McKinnon and Crosby and McDavid and Draisaitl and who else, like Rantanen, they're shooting like 350 times, and Selly was up there I think in the 250 range. Smitty was actually below 200, so he's gonna probably have 200 plus shots this year. A guy like Haltonen, the big tuna of the London Knights Memorial Cup, he's a big shooter. So is Sam Dickinson, so they can get more shots from the point, like a Bernsey. And what is Carolina going to do with Bernsey? Well, I'd say the last thing too about some goalies, John Gibson, right? I think it was ideal for a team to grab him a couple years ago, but it'd be interesting to see a swap of goalies. Like if Edmonton says we're going to give you Skinner or Pickard plus draft capital or plus something, I could see the Ducks going for it and saying, hey, on the flip side, it's like, hey, now John Gibson has more value because the team is improved with some of their acquisitions early on. Like Kreider is a massive playoff guy, right? So Anaheim's rolling up the wagon for a playoff run here eventually or soon, whereas Montreal maybe made it by accident. Detroit thought they were there. Ottawa deservedly made it. So I see some fluctuations in some of the divisions, and honestly I feel like I keep going to Vegas and I keep saying they're at the end. They're like remind me of like the 2018 Sharks, to be honest, where they have a bunch of older guys, an older core. And Pittsburgh didn't want to believe it. Dubas really hamstrung a lot of the Leafs contracts with all these no movement clauses and stuff. And I think Vegas goes for the shiny new toy, the big name all the time. So I could see them in the running for Marner, but they keep chasing it. They're kind of always in the playoffs, and maybe that's their thing, is like, let's make a lot of money. Let's keep making the playoffs. They have zero draft capital. Whereas teams like the Sharks, Montreal, like I think Columbus too, they've been grabbing assets for the last several years, and they'll be players in the next 2, 3, 4 years. So there's different ways of going about it, but my prediction is a fall off from Vegas. Maybe not miss the playoffs, but probably first round exit. I believe Minnesota is going to make a bigger run and splash. They seem to be ready to take over potentially Vegas's position, depending on if Edmonton hits the detonator this offseason and gets rid of a whole bunch of gritty guys that kind of got them there, and rebuilds. That's a tough one for McDavid, maybe going to Toronto. So we'll see what happens. I got to get to work here. Thought I'd record this just before my shift, and we shall see what happens this off season. I'll be watching. Peace.